What's up, you guys? Teddy Stricker here, and UFC 319 has just wrapped up. And the biggest question coming out of that pay-per-view card was who beats Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, he looks like he might be unbeatable. If Dricus du Plessis can beat him, then who can? And there's a lot of new contenders in the middleweight division, a lot of exciting guys. And I think there's one fighter in particular that might actually be able to beat Khamzat Chimaev.
Who has the best chance of beating him at 185?
Say again?
Who has the best chance of beating Khamzat Chimaev?
Me. Of course, me.
There's obviously a lot of contenders currently in the middleweight division. There's Nasruddin Imavov, who I think is going to beat Caio Borralho and fight for the title next, unless Khamzat actually does turn around and fight in Abu Dhabi. There's also Rainier the Ritter, who's already calling out Khamzat Chimaev for a fight in October, and he does present some interesting threats because he is a grappler, but he has shown the ability to be taken down and get controlled on the ground. And also, I don't think that a guy like Rainier the Ritter is as refined on the feet as a guy like Anthony Hernandez. I feel like he gets hit a lot more. He's a bit more predictable with his strikes. He's got some good knees and good body shots, but he doesn't really have any sting on his power, and he doesn't put that crazy of a pace out there. He'll get in your face, work in the clinch, but he can be taken down and exploited on feet by a guy like Khamzat easier than a guy like Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And then there's Strickland, who I don't think has anything for Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, apparently he got choked out several times, or he got submitted several times when he trained with Khamzat. And obviously, that's the gym, but Khamzat is a lot better than he was back then. And Strickland might have improved, but Khamzat does have a significant skill advantage in terms of the grappling over Strickland Regardless, even if Strickland is getting better, Khamzat is still getting better, and he still has that advantage. And it's going to take a lot for Strickland to close that gap with Khamzat. And now Strickland is apparently saying that he's the only one who can out-grapple Khamzat, and he used to out-grapple him when they trained together, which is crazy because he did say on an interview that Khamzat Chimaev toyed with him whenever they were grappling and they were training together. But to be fair, Strickland does have some good grappling defense. He does fight the hands a lot better than a guy like Dricus. I mean, Dricus looked like he was completely clueless out there. It looked like he's only an offensive grappler, and he just doesn't train his defense at all. But Strickland does have some fairly good grappling defense. But I feel like Khamzat would get him to the floor, and whenever Strickland gets taken down, he does tend to at times give up his back, and Khamzat thrives on that position. I could see Khamzat just controlling him from there. And on the feet, yes, Strickland might have the edge in terms of the striking, but there are some times where he lacks activity. He'll just throw, his jab out there, his teeps, but he won't open up too much with his combinations to really, make Khamzat tired. And Khamzat does have some suspect cardio. He did, show that he can go 5 rounds, but that was at his pace. But what happens when he fights an opponent that pushes a pace on him? And Strickland, he does have good cardio, but he doesn't often push a hard pace on his opponent. He'll win the fight, but he'll do just enough to win at times. And I don't think that's what it takes to beat a guy like Khamzat Chimaev. Compared to a guy like Anthony Hernandez, who has grappling, he has been put in some bad positions in the past against a high-level grappler in Brendan Allen, and that shows that he's not just fighting strikers, he's fighting actually good grapplers. Like Roman Dolidze is a good grappler, even though he just got toyed with by Fluffy Hernandez. So is Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen is a good grappler as well, but those guys just couldn't keep up with the pace, the pressure, and the skill of Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And one thing about Anthony Hernandez is he gets better as the fight goes on, and he has survived those bad positions from Brendan Allen, and then he went back and then he won the rest of the fight. And that's great experience before fighting a guy like Chimaev. Like Dricus du Plessis, one thing about him was that he didn't really fight too many wrestlers. He fought a lot of strikers. He fought Adesanya, Strickland twice, Robert Whittaker, Darren Till, and he fought Derek Brunson, but Derek Brunson was kind of on his way out, and Brunson was unable to get guys like Israel Adesanya to the floor. He wasn't the best wrestler out there, and that's who Dricus Du Plessis had fought before fighting Chimaev compared to Anthony Hernandez, who's fighting multiple grapplers. And he's being tested in those areas, and he's actually showing that he can hang in those deep waters and he can actually drown his opponents. But he can definitely be hurt on the feet. He has been TKO'd by Kevin Holland in the past. He did get hurt pretty bad by Michel Pereira, but he has shown again the ability to recover after those tough first rounds, stay in the fight and get better as the fight goes on. And he's got really good grappling to match with it, and I feel like that might actually be a nightmare matchup for Khamzat Chimaev. I also feel like Fluffy Hernandez is getting better. Like each time out, his striking looks sharper. He gets a lot more confidence. And I feel like those 5-round fights have really helped him out quite a bit. And I think maybe one more win, and then he can collide with Khamzat Chimaev. But the second biggest threat to Khamzat Chimaev's belt, in my opinion, might be Nasruddin Imavov. Now, Imavov is, in my opinion, right now the best striker in the middleweight division. I feel like he's also improving a lot, just like Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Each time out, he looks better. He stayed active, and he's taking on top competition. He also went up against Brendan Allen, and he was put in some oppositions early on in that fight, but he stayed composed. Then as soon as the second round started, he was making adjustments and making sure he wasn't getting back on the floor. And whenever he exited grappling exchanges, he would right away get under pressure, right away start tagging him up and start blasting him with punches. So he's shown that he has the heart to push through that exhaustion, because he was tired in that fight. It was a high-paced fight, but he ended the fight winning with his striking, and he let his hands go. And also, he has a finishing ability as well, which is something that I don't think anyone else has on the feet outside of Imavov. He can pull you out with one punch like he did with Israel Adesanya or with Jared Cannonier. Like, this guy has some fast hands. He's very sharp and precise with his punches, and I think he's a far better striker than Khamzat Chimaev. But the thing is, he does tend to slow down a little bit in his fights. He can also be overwhelmed at times with a high volume, and he can be taken down too. But yeah, I feel like the only thing missing that would make me say he's the biggest threat to Khamzat is really that endurance. I feel like sometimes he does slow down, but sometimes he does look good when he's fighting at his pace. But when his opponent is forcing the pace on him, that's when I think he starts to slow down a little bit compared to Fluffy Hernandez, who can fight at his opponent's pace, and he can obviously push his own pace pretty high. So ultimately, I feel like Fluffy Hernandez is the biggest threat to Khamzat's belt. I don't know if he beats him, but I feel like he has a really good shot. I would say that fight is I would say 51% in favor of Khamzat Chimaev compared to 49% for Anthony Hernandez. But let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you think has the best chance of beating Khamzat Chimaev? I think it's Anthony Hernandez. But yeah, let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.